What's up, guys? We are back with another Masters of the Universe Masterverse review, rounding out Wave 3 with a character, a figure that I've already reviewed basically, but this is the retail version. So we're taking a look at Scareglow today. So I've done the Mattel Creations exclusive version, that came in the fancy box. That was green for one. So we've got the retail version that has some changes, different color scheme, no wired cape, stuff like that. So he comes in standard packaging this time around, of course. So you've got the big window box here with the kind of weird shaped packaging with the Eternian hieroglyphs all over it. You've got a nameplate going down one side panel. You've got a shot of him on the other. And then you've got a different piece of artwork of him, kind of going all out with his green energy goo stuff on the back with a small bio and a little bit of cross-sell for the rest of the wave. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Scareglow figures. So of course, this is the exact same figure that I've already reviewed once before, save for some more premium things that have been taken away, color changes between the two versions. So if you've got that previous Mattel Creations exclusive Scareglow, you know exactly what's going on here. They're very, very similar in many respects. Granted, there's a big thing right off the bat that's different. The color is different. This guy is a more bone color in terms of his accents than the green. The figure's still the same, but of course he also has, a non-wired cape. He's got some accessory changes. The box is obviously very different too. But for those who don't have that figure, let's kind of run through him real quick, see what he can do. He is very standard for the line, which it's not a negative. It's just he's pretty much like, He-Man. He's like Skeletor, really. So head can look up a little bit, not a whole lot. He looks down really good, though. Not much tilt on this guy, really, but you do have full rotation, of course. Arms out at the shoulders. And then they do rotate all the way around. He has, of course, the big, sort of collar piece here, so you do have to watch that. We've got our bicep swivel. We've got double jointed elbows, but they're not the greatest range because these arms are so big. So you've got, a little bit better than 90, but it's not the best double jointed elbow. And then we've got our hinges and rotation at the wrist. You've got a diaphragm cut, so he goes backwards slightly, forward. Tilt side to side, really good. And then it's also a rotation point. It's not the best. It's not really used as rotation, at least. You get some swivel out of it, but most of your rotation is going to come at your actual waist twist down here. Legs go out at the sides, and he does have slits in the skirt piece to allow for this. He can't do, the Subterranean splits or anything like that, but it's helpful. He's able to kick forward a good bit as well. Not the full kick, again, because this is still a rubbery piece, but it's not bad for that thing that's sitting over top of him. And then he does kick backwards slightly. You do have a thigh twist that's up in there. And then we've got our double jointed knees. So he goes backwards about this far. Your skirt piece is going to get in the way of that joint. We've got our boot cut, shin swivel down there. And then you've got rocker. And you do have kind of a lip on this boot cuff right here, so you can kind of kick over that, thankfully, and it gives you full range. And then you've got a really good range on those hinges too. So, if you've got Skeletor in particular is probably the better example. If you've got Skeletor, if you've got He-Man, you know what to expect with this guy. He's very much the same kind of figure, built on a lot of that same construction. So very much a par for the course kind of figure when it comes to the quote-unquote normal male figures. Now, of course, aesthetically, we have to compare the two, and that's really the main focus of this part of the video, for me anyway, is the comparison, because they are exactly the same figure. They only come down to deco changes on the bone and the skull and the cape. The cape is a very profound change, of course, because we're talking wired on the exclusive versus a non-wired cape here. So, any day of the week, I'm going to prefer a wired cape. So we're going to get that out of the way. It does change the figure entirely. If you wanted to, you could take it off and put it on this one if you needed to. But the rest of the figure is the same. The skirt piece, the boots, the gauntlets, the collar, all that stuff is the same. The big difference is really going to come down to the colorway, the deco, and it's a more classic-ish Scareglow, but it's still at the same time not, because Scareglow was always an injected glow-in-the-dark plastic figure, and this is a black figure with just bone paint on him. This stuff doesn't even glow, just like this stuff doesn't even glow. It's only a glowing head still. So you've got a normal glow-in-the-dark skull up top with a ton of wash on it. Like, there's a lot of detail in there. It's the same head. I mean, I liked it on the first one. I like it on the second one. But I infinitely think that the green is cooler on this particular instance of Scareglow, because he's not fully glow in the dark. This gives the illusion more that he's a glow in the dark figure, because this is just kind of like a yellowy bone color. It works. It gets the idea across. It's more in line with kind of like the Mondo version of Scareglow than anything else, rather than the classics or Origins or Vintage even. But I do still really like this figure. It's still going to be a good retail option for folks who missed this guy, who don't have him, who couldn't get him, and it's going to fill that void pretty well, because Scareglow does sort of look like this in the show, but when I think of Revelation, this is really what I think of. This is like the powered up version. This is maybe more of your standard. Good sculpt, good paint applications on him for the most part. I don't really have any complaints in that department. I think he looks nice. The wash on the head this time around, I think absolutely changes things up a little bit. He looks a little bit more menacing because you can see a little bit more of this line work better. There's not as much wash on the exclusive, not by a mile, as there is on this retail version here. And then, of course, let's just get this done here. The capes. The Scareglow wired cape on the exclusive, I mean, I think it's good. I don't think it's the best example of a wired cape because of how it connects, where it's just sort of like hanging off the figure. But a wired cape is still a wired cape, and it does have a lot more display potential. It's got more dynamic posing possibilities than, your regular figure. So that's good on its own. This is still just a cape. So it's just a piece of fabric hanging off the figure. It has no posability. It has no dynamic possibilities to it unless you really get creative with it. That said, like a lot of the other soft goods in this line, I do think it's decent. Like, I don't think it's a bad piece of soft goods. I think it's all right. It feels good. It's got a different look on the inside versus the outside. It's kind of got a velvety texture to it. So it looks okay. And if you're talking, just like a vanilla pose where he's in a room with no breeze, he'll probably look all right. But ultimately, I do think this is the better version for a number of reasons, the cape being one of them. And then, of course, us seeing him being green in the show so much, well, in terms of how much he's actually on screen, that is, I think it just kind of amps him up a little bit more. And frankly, for just my money, a green Scareglow is a lot cooler right now to me than a black Scareglow with yellowish sort of paint on him. And then, of course, we have to briefly at least show the glowing aspect of this figure, because like I mentioned, it's only the head. And I know that this version here, the exclusive, looks like he's glowing, but he's actually not. I do have a black light going right now just to help aid this along. The paint on the exclusive is blacklight reactive, so it does look like it glows, but it actually is not glowing. And then none of the paint on our retail version here is reactive at all. So only the heads are going to glow. They do glow pretty well. Don't get me wrong, the glowing works well. It lasts for a decent bit. But ultimately, it's kind of one of those things where I kind of wish our Scareglow glowed a little bit more, or at least in, greater quantity on his body. Now, as far as accessories goes, not a lot in this box, honestly. And this is, of course, one of the key areas where this set, this figure kind of diverges from the exclusive version. We've got differences in color as far as the stuff that he comes with. And then, of course, he doesn't come with the pull-apart sword. So there is no extra power sword, like I kind of expected when I talked about that previous figure, or however long ago that was at this point. Feels like a lifetime. But we do have like the stuff that matters. So we've got some extra hands to start with. You've got, of course, that kind of weird cupping style hand for Scareglow that a lot of the characters come with. So this is a left hand, and then you've also got a right fist. And of course, they're just they're translucent like the hands that he comes with, but they have the painted on bones. And then we've got his scythe halberd spear, whatever we're going to call it. And it's the same thing that the exclusive one comes with, but it's a different color. So this is a more like foresty green color, and it has a hint of metallic to it, and then it doesn't have the stripe of bright green paint on it like the exclusive version does. So exact same weapon, just a different colorway, and a little bit more muted, not nearly as ostentatious, which is really not the right word, but not nearly as flamboyant, honestly, as that super bright neon green one that the other figure comes with. So not a lot of stuff in this box. Ultimately, he doesn't really have a lot. The only thing I would have truly liked to have seen different on both, really, is an effect part, just to play up the magical aspect of this guy. But he does have a really cool weapon, which is very much a hallmark of Scareglow. So yeah, overall, this is still a pretty solid figure. Like, I really don't have too many complaints about it, but at the same time, it is the less impressive version compared to the exclusive. I really like the green color that they went with for this particular version of the character. You know, I liked it in the show. I think it worked really well on the toy. It's not at all a classic Scareglow look, so this retail version, while still not a classic Scareglow look because it's kind of inverted, is a little bit more in line with the black and the bone color. I do still think that one of the big negatives is that, you know, these guys just don't glow enough. It's just the head, which is definitely odd, and it does play up the aspect of what glows in the show, really, but still, it's a toy. I'd love for him to glow a lot more, but he's definitely going to be a really solid entry to the line. But if you have the exclusive, it may be one that you might be able to skip. So that's going to do it for this look at the Masters of the Universe Masterverse Scareglow. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.